Hey, you found the Sales Hunter podcast. My name is Mark Hunter. What are we talking about? We're talking about credibility. And let me tell you something. Do you have enough credibility to sell? And oh, by the way, it's not just your knowledge about your product, but it's about you as an individual because you know what? Your customers expect it. I'm going to unpack it right now as the show begins now.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
I told you a few episodes ago that I was unpacking the 7 C's that really comprise you and how you sell, the 7 C's. And the C we're on this week is credibility. And you see, because here's the whole thing. If you want to be successful prospecting, you want to be successful selling, you want to be successful in anything, you need credibility. But when it comes to sales, so many people feel that credibility, having credibility to sell, means that you know your product. Okay, now that's table stakes. But now let's stop and ask ourselves this question. How much knowledge, how much credibility do you have to have? You really don't have to have as much as you think. See, credibility is not just what you know in your head, but credibility is what you're going to be able to get to in the conversations with your customers. You see, credibility stems from another C, confidence, which is being able to ask questions. Now, I talk a lot about that in terms of asking questions. See, so it's not just credibility of your product knowledge, but it's credibility about you. Because let me tell you something right now. Your reputation arrives before you do. No customer in today's world meets with any salesperson without first taking a look at them. I just recently bought a car. I bought a car from a dealership I'm in love with, in Sewell dealership here in Dallas. The salesperson, I made an appointment to go meet with the salesperson. I was referred to him. He had checked me out before I came to see him. See, that was very interesting. See, the salesperson had checked out the customer. But don't worry, the customer, me, had checked out him and his company. You see, now think about this. Credibility cuts both ways. If we are not doing our homework on our customers to see if they have credibility, why are we selling to them? But let's flip this around because I'm really talking about credibility in this regard is of how our customer sees us. Because the customer is not going to do business with us because everything that we sell, I don't care what it is that you sell, there are options. There are options, and they're not going to do business with any salesperson they don't feel is credible. See, so credibility is both the knowledge of the product, but who you are. And see, credibility is kind of the foundation of being trustworthy. See, if you're not credible, how are they ever going to view you as being trustworthy? They're not. How do we build credibility? We build credibility by being who we say we are based on what the internet says we are. Go out and do an incognito search on your name. What does it reveal? Does that line up with what? Now, see, here's the whole thing. Credibility is not what you think. It's what your customer perceives. And this is so key. This is key. This is absolutely key. Because you may think you're a credible person, but your customer uncovers a website or a review or a post or something that has you or your company in unfavorable terms. Now you're behind the 8 ball. Does that rule you out? No, it doesn't rule you out, but it means that you've got baggage you've got to overcome, which means you are going to have to be doubly in tune in that first sales call to be able to create a level of trust. Because credibility, without credibility, the customer is not going to be honest with you. They're just not. It's interesting. I use the example of this car I just recently purchased from Sewell. They have 19 dealerships here in the Texas area. And they run all of them the same way, where they really put a high focus on credibility. They put a high focus on all 7 of the C's I'm talking about. And what's interesting is I had always been resistant to buy a new car. I had always been resistant. I just hated, like many of you, I hated buying cars. But see, this dealership and this salesperson I was working with flipped it around completely. You see, instantaneously, they develop credibility with me. And I developed credibility with them. See, I did my homework with them, and they in turn did homework on me. So our dialogue right from the start was the same. See, if you can't dive in both personally and professionally with your customer, you're not going to be able to become credible. Now, notice I said personal and professional because I do believe you have to be personal. You have to be personal because here's the whole thing. AI, artificial intelligence, and all the bots and all the world, that can have all the professional knowledge you want. But customers today want that personal piece. Are you credible? Do you say what you're going to do when you say you're going to do it? And oh, by the way, it's not just what we say and what we do, but it's what we don't say and what we don't do. And again, we may say we don't do this, but does the customer believe it? We may say this, but does the customer believe it? You see, we have to live our values. We have to live our credibility. And what does that mean? Dialoguing with the customer. This is why I so firmly believe that credibility begins with your online profile before the sale begins. What does the internet say about you? And it extends into the sales call with your ability to conduct yourself in a professional and personal manner. That means you have to be a little bit transparent if you want the customer to be transparent. But I'm never going to create this high level of credibility until I've been able to do that. And the knowledge piece of credibility, yeah, but don't think I have to know every piece. I can demonstrate credibility by knowing some of it, but I'm going to go back and get you the information. I'm going to go back and get you the answers. And oh, by the way, many times that develops credibility even faster. Credibility as the person first. Credibility as the knowledge expert second. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. This has been another episode of the Sales Hunter podcast. What is it about? 2 episodes a week. One a short one like this, other episode, longer one where we do a deep dive expert with a sales matter expert. Why do I do the podcast? Because I want to help you see and achieve what you didn't think was possible. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Hey, would you leave me a review? And please subscribe to the podcast if you don't already do so. Great selling.